the vital role that campaigns and elections play in the battle of ideas. We'll explore that and more on today's edition of Life Matters. Brian Johnston has served in many capacities while advocating for innocent lives, as the Western Director of the National Right to Life Committee, as California Commissioner on Aging, as Chairman of the California Pro-Life Council, on the board of the National Legal Center for the Medically Dependent and Disabled. And now here's our host, Brian Johnston.
Well, welcome back to Life Matters. We're your program on life, on preparing you to face the challenges of life, and specifically on helping to protect your innocent life and the lives of other innocent human beings in your community. That's what the right to life is all about, protecting the innocent. There's a point where people get confused by our culture about what that means. And so we're going to spend time today talking about what's happening in our culture, and then stay with this through the end, because we're going to talk about what you can do in terms of the laws of our culture. Right now, people feel they're helpless. They don't know what to do about bad laws that take their money, that's right, their tax money, and spend it on killing the innocent. This is a shocking and offensive thing, but it's much more important than merely being shocked and offended and emotionally committed. I'm emotionally committed to the vulnerable innocent. I like babies, and most caring people like babies and know that they should be cared for. But you and I now live in a culture that's killing babies, and they will justify the killing of babies for any reason or no reason in particular. That's the real meaning of the word choice. I want to have an abortion, not because there's anything wrong, not because there's some problem, but I choose to not be pregnant. And this is a very serious misunderstanding of our privilege to make decisions. Our autonomy as individuals has limits, and particularly in a civilized culture, we must limit our freedom to do as we choose. We must have reasonable limits that protect the lives of others. So on Life Matters, we talk about the right to life and how to bring to pass this legal right to life. Because when America's founders used that term, right to life, they were speaking of a legal right, which isn't given by the government. It's given by a creator. He's given us the right to be alive, but it is the duty of the government to ensure this right. That's what the founders said. So we're going to spend some time. We're going to talk about some issues facing America right now, and issues facing you and your involvement in your community when it comes to this issue. So we're going to talk about the elections that are pending. As long as there are elections, you will need to understand the deeper principles of electoral politics and life and what you can do to help protect those that cannot protect themselves. So stay with us. We're going to talk about your impact on local government officials and why that's important. So stay with us. When we come back, we're going to take a deep dive to equip you. We're going to equip you for life on Life Matters.
Life Matters continues after this.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, CEO of MyPillow. I support this show, and I would like to offer you our biggest discounts for listening. So please go to our website, mypillow.com, and put in the promo code at the end of this message to get the biggest discounts. Again, thanks for listening, and God bless.
And that promo code is LIFE. All caps, L-I-F-E, LIFE. So go to MyPillow, put in the promo code LIFE, and you'll get some wonderful discounts, because Mike Lindell believes in you and in Life Matters.
California Pro-Life is looking for folks like you to help us bring common sense back to our state. Would you like to volunteer? For example, do you like social media? You could help. Or do you like to put on parties? You might have the skills to help us with one of our local events. Would you like to just encourage local pro-lifers with insights and information? Join one of our chapters. There's a lot to do in this state, and your help can make a difference right where you are. Go to California Pro-Life and sign up.
And now back to more Life Matters with Brian Johnston.
Welcome back to Life Matters, and I'm your host, Brian Johnston. If you're listening by radio, you're part of a nationwide team. We're broadcast by radio across the nation on various affiliates, but we're also a podcast. And those of you who listen by podcast know that we take a deep dive into specific issues of life to equip you. If you don't leave this program with a deeper understanding, then you have failed and I have failed, because I'm going to give you some very specific details about how your life itself can be effective in impacting the lives of others and in impacting your society. We are not going to be here a long time because life is short. And we want to make sure that during our life, we don't chase butterflies. We want to make sure that we're impacting and making a difference right where we are. It's very tempting to think, I want to go someplace else and go make a difference. But God has you right where you are. And there are things that you can do right where you are, but you need to be equipped with an understanding of how to apply yourself. So we're going to spend some time right now talking about electoral politics. And there's important predicates, important foundations you need to have when you understand what you can do. So one of the things I want to remind you of, those of you who do listen by podcast, you know that you can go back. And right now, there are issues about protecting innocent life that many, even pro-life people, don't fully understand. And that would be, what did Roe v. Wade and Doe v. Bolton, what did they do? Those decisions from 73. Still not fully understood. And you can find out more if you go back to my book, Roe and Doe, Evil Twins, How the Supreme Court Unleashed Medical Killing, available on Amazon and wherever fine books are sold. You can find out about that decision, which is still with us. Doe v. Bolton allowed doctors to kill according to their own judgment. And if you don't believe me, go ahead and look back at the real facts. In fact, I'll let you hear Ruth Bader Ginsburg explain that Roe v. Wade and its companion decision, Doe v. Bolton, that didn't give women the right to kill babies. It gave any doctor the protected right to kill a baby under any circumstance that that doctor wanted. Listen to Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Another feature of Roe is Roe really isn't about the woman's choice, is it? It's about the doctor's freedom to practice his profession as he thinks best. It wasn't woman-centered. It was physician-centered.
So that's what Ginsburg said about Roe v. Wade and its progeny, Doe v. Bolton. In 2022, there was a Supreme Court decision called the Dobbs decision. And people errantly think that the Dobbs decision settled the debate. The Dobbs decision overturned Roe v. Wade. Sadly, that's a gross misunderstanding. And unless you understand that the media and the use of language has been used against you to mislead you, then you don't understand what's happening right now. So the decision of Dobbs in 2022 slightly adjusted abortion laws, but abortion continues. In fact, abortion is being practiced in more than half of the nation. And it's important for you to understand why. Because it's in your community and your laws. And if you think, oh no, I'm temporarily safe, my community isn't embracing it, you don't understand. The media is still impacting. Even if you're in a church, you probably realize that your church organization is under attack to change its position. If you have a good position on life at your church, there are efforts to overturn that. And they're using language to do it. So go back to episode 304, where we talk about the use of language, the idea of overturn. What does that really mean? It's like a turnover in football. Is that how Roe was overturned? No, that isn't what happened in the Dobbs decision. That's not what's going on in the United States right now. That isn't why we are now talking about abortion in these elections. The fact is that abortion is going on, and you can impact it locally. We're going to tell you how to do that. First, though, you have to understand how you get involved in civics. And many of you took civics in school, but if you're like me, a lot of times that went right over my head because I wasn't involved in it. I didn't understand it fully. You know the saying, tell me and I'll forget. Show me, I might remember, but make me do it and I will understand. If you have not been involved actively in the civic process, the odds are you don't understand it. So with this coming election, I want to urge you, wherever you are in the nation, get involved and get involved locally. Understand the position of candidates locally. In California, there's the California Pro-Life Council, which is obviously committed to the issues of life, but also is committed to protecting innocent life through the law. And they want to equip you. So if you're in California, go to californiaprolife.org. If you're in other states, go to nrlc.org. That's the National Right to Life Committee. Go there and look for your state affiliate, and they'll have listings for this coming election of who they recommend you stand with if you want to stand for life. You have to vote for the good guys. I want to take it one step deeper, and that has to do with how we function in a republic. If you don't understand the difference between the Democrat Party and the Republican Party, some people tell me, oh, they're just two sides of the same coin. It's just all the same. That's why I don't like politics. I just vote for people I like. That's a very, very emotional and subjective view of this process. You don't understand. Because there's two competing worldviews in the Democrat Party versus the Republican Party. In a republic, there are overarching principles. And in our republic, the United States of America, we assert that it's God that established these overarching principles, that it's God that we trust in. It's on our coins. In God we trust. That there are spiritual overarching principles to guide sound judgment, to guide sound laws. And that's why our founders created this republic. To ensure these rights, governments are instituted among men. So a republic functions with the idea that there's a higher law to which we must be held accountable. And we talk about that at length. If you're listening to the podcast, you can go to lifematters.life. If you don't listen, subscribe there. But you can get wherever podcasts are. You can get a hold of Life Matters with Brian Johnston. Episode 306, we explain very clearly the distinction between a Democrat worldview and a Republican worldview. And simply put, the Democrat Party believes if you have half, 50%, plus one vote, now you have a majority. Now you can make all the rules. Now you can make all the laws. And that's an extremely dangerous worldview. Many nations have been destroyed by a mobocracy. That is to say, if you can control people's public opinions, you can control the entire government. And many nations are destroyed. That's really the foundation for socialism. It's the foundation for arbitrary laws, what's known as positivist laws, as opposed to a republic worldview that says, yes, you can vote, and we will count votes, but you can't pass laws that are against God's principles. In America, that's what we say. But we've translated that to say against the laws of nature and nature's God. Because if I say, you got to do God's thing, how is that different from what the Taliban say? You got to follow my religion if you're going to be... No, you don't know my theology, and I don't know your theology. And that's how the founders felt about each other. They came from different colonies that had different spiritual traditions, but all of them realized we want to form a republic that will follow higher laws that have been reflected in nature. The God of nature, that's the God we follow, the God who made all things. So the founder said natural law revealed in nature, and if you're a Christian, you've read the book of Romans, I hope. And in Romans 1:20, it says that God has revealed his invisible nature through his visible creation, so that they are all without excuse, and they would be us. Everyone knows that you live in an ordered universe, and that someone has ordered it. Even if you're unwilling to say that, your conscience knows that. So you're without excuse if you say you didn't know it was wrong to steal. You didn't know if adultery was wrong. You didn't know if sexual relations among same-sex people is right or wrong. You do know in your conscience. And that's what we have to appeal to, is to people's conscience. God has given everyone a conscience. America's founders understood that, and they literally put it into the law and put it into the principles under which we're to function as a republic. A democracy, a pure democracy, has only led to failure even way back when they earnestly tried it in ancient Greece. It was very difficult to function because people wouldn't take the time. They wouldn't take the time to learn and understand. And if they did vote, sometimes they just voted with their feelings. That wasn't good, because if someone could manipulate those feelings, you could get in a lot of trouble. But they also had people who refused to be involved. And I still use this word, but the Greeks had a word for people in a democratic system. We live in a democratic republic. They had a word for people who refuse to be involved. I don't like politics. That word in Greek was idiot. Someone who could be involved, didn't want to take the time to think about it, didn't want to take the time to apply themselves, and basically said, oh, it's all the same. I don't like politics. I don't do that. I'm spiritual. That person in Greek was called an idiot. And you know, many Christians that have great capacity. They're nice people, but they haven't gotten involved in the deeper and more important things of life. They have decided to be, as the Greeks said, an idiot. In Ireland, the slang for idiot, and it's a loving term, they call them Egypts. Don't be an Egypt. So part of our purpose on this program is to prevent that from happening. We don't want that happening. I don't want you to call me an idiot, not with any accuracy. You can call me whatever you want, but sometimes names will hurt. Sticks and stones may break your bones, but names can also hurt you. And Jesus was glad to rebuke and call the Pharisees names in the hope they'd wake up. A lot of them just gritted their teeth and hated him more. But if you've read the scriptures, you know after Jesus called them names to promote a deeper understanding in them, several came to him. Nicodemus was one. Nicodemus said, you've got something, Jesus, that he had to come to him at night, by the way. He didn't want the other Pharisees knowing. Jesus, there's deeper things I need to know. And if you're a Christian, you know that. There are deeper things than the basic religion of your denomination. There are deeper things in God, and you need to reach for those things. And they do apply to everyday life. They do apply to public policy and elections and voting. We're going to go into all of that when we come back on Life Matters.
Life Matters continues after this.
Are you willing to step up to be a lifeguard? We're asking you to consider becoming a Life Matters lifeguard. On Life Matters, we cut to the depths of this cultural battle of ideas that has robbed America of its core values and robbed the innocent of their right to life. Anything you can pledge is appreciated. But if you pledge $19 a month, we will make you part of the Life Matters lifeguard team, getting you the important tools and dynamic information to help save lives and encourage others in understanding the lurking dangers in today's deadly cross-currents of culture. Your pledge helps us with our costs of broadcast. It keeps the full understanding of the right to life going out over our numerous radio stations, and also facilitates the important podcast that carries even more programming. Please go to the front page of the Life Matters website and click on the donate button. Your donation is deeply appreciated.
Life Film Fest is the creative outreach in Hollywood that's changing Hollywood and the culture. There's many films you've already seen that actually had their start at Life Fest in Hollywood. But more than that, we work with people throughout the industry who want to creatively bring the message of life, creatively impact the culture so that hearts and minds of our fellow citizens understand the depth of what the right to life really is. Be part of Life Fest Film Festival and make a difference.
Go to lifefilmfest.com. And now back to more Life Matters with Brian Johnston.
So let's bring it full circle. Right now in the United States, March 5th, it's called Super Tuesday, and there'll be more Super Tuesdays in future elections. But this Super Tuesday, you're going to be asked to vote, and there'll be a lot of discussion of the presidential candidates. There'll be a lot of discussion of perhaps senatorial and congressional candidates on your local television, because that applies to a lot of people. But don't think your vote is about that. I'm going to ask you to think a little bit more deeply, and that is, think about the nature of voting and mathematics. Because I'll use California as an example, but your state will suffice. Your vote statewide is important, but it is a relative drop in the bucket. However, as you go further down the ballot, most states are divided up congressionally into at least a plurality of congressional districts. The typical congressional district has a population of 600,000 people, but it goes further and further down. And as you go down that ballot to your state Senate, to your state assembly, then locally, and this is what I want you to leave this program understanding, all real politics is local. And your vote for your local city council member, many city council elections are decided by a relatively small handful of votes. The margins are very, very small. If you and your friends decide, I'm going to vote for the good candidate, I'm going to know who they are and what their stances are on life, on protecting the family, on protecting the innocent. I want to know their stance. If you and your friends vote for that candidate, you've greatly increased the chance of victory. And go further down, particularly I'll use schools. School boards are being asked by Planned Parenthood, oh, we want to help kids. We want to open a school-based clinic in your schools. Will you let us do that? Because we're here to help the kids. And that school district has to make a decision. Are they going to allow the assets for which they're responsible? Are they going to allow them to be used by abortion promoters to have access to your kids? What are those people going to teach your kids? Do you care? If you don't get involved in the local school board races and understand who to vote for, you are failing in the greatest opportunity and the greatest power you have. And I'll be honest with you, the only way to take back your state, if your state has gone to the Democrat or left side of the cultural values, you start locally. You start locally. That's how communism was defeated under the Soviet bloc, is local guys in Gdansk, local Polish guys got together and said, we're not going to do what the Communist Party tells us. We're going to work together against the Communist Party. They risked their lives. And today there are many Americans doing the same thing. There are many Americans saying, we're going to take back our government. We're going to organize and understand the principles and apply those principles. So if you're in California, you go to californiaprolife.org, go to election 24, and get a breakdown by county of all the good guys and women. I use that in the generic American sense when we talk about guys. So the people running who will stand for what is good and right and just, and particularly if they want to protect the innocent. That's at californiaprolife.org. In other states, go to National Right to Life and go to your state affiliate. They'll guide you in how to vote locally. That's where your power is greatest. Please understand the dynamics. You know, in the U.S. Constitution, Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution doesn't say, oh, and all the states are going to have a top-down form of government. All the states are going to have a dictatorship of the masses, and whoever wins governorship, well, they're in charge, and they get to tell everybody what to do. No, it says the opposite. It says in Article 4, Section 4 of your Constitution that each and every state must operate as a republic, and that means that local people can have a voice in their local representatives and who they are: school board, city council, county supervisor, state legislature. You have a vote there, and the smaller the district, the more powerful your vote. If you don't use that power, it will be taken from you. And I hope you understand that. You've been given great power and great freedom as an American. You've been given great opportunity, if you're a Christian, to understand deeper principles. But if you don't use that, if you decide, I want to isolate myself and be an Egypt, to do what I want, if you're not using the powers you've been given, They will be taken from you. And if you're a Christian, you know what I'm referring to. Jesus said that in many different times, in many places. But that servant that refused to use the assets God had given him, God took even that from him. So we need to understand how the civic process works. And as you're listening to this, you're probably listening in an election season. But elections are very frequent. And especially if there's a special election, very few people will take the time to understand. And so very few people vote in special elections. And because there's so few, your vote becomes even more powerful. So please remember that you've been given a great gift, the gift of life. And that life needs to be protected by the government that governs you. That's why they've empowered policemen to stop miscreants. And they've actually empowered the ability to stop abortionists from killing innocent babies or another misuse of medicine now, and you're aware of this. They want to abuse your growing children with the wrong thoughts, and then doctors will actually physically assault them in the name of helping them find their true gender. That's happening. That's happening because people don't understand you need to speak up and follow the laws of nature and nature's God and stand up for those that can't protect themselves. So you have an opportunity now to stand up. I urge you to prepare yourself for the elections. Talk to your friends and neighbors. Make sure that they vote. Some people are told to vote early. I recommend you not vote early as much as you vote educated. Don't just have a ballot and send it in. Make sure you've studied that ballot. And we've given you the resources, again, CaliforniaProLife.org for people in California, NRLC.org for people across the nation. Go to your state affiliate, and there you can find out how to change your state, your community, your actual neighborhood by being involved in the civic process, by being an actual free American and using what you know you should use. So don't be an Egypt. Thanks for listening to Life Matters. We appreciate your involvement, and feel free to contact us at lifematters.life. Feel free to ask any questions. There's no such thing as a stupid question. So feel free, if you have questions, to ask more. Dig in, find out what's true, and apply that to your life and help others to apply it to theirs. Thanks for listening.
Learn more about everything in today's show online at lifematters.life, where you'll find all the resources you need to protect life. Life Matters is a production of the California Pro-Life Council.